G'day guys and welcome to Sydney Harbour. Now, Sydney Harbour is home to 600 species of fish, but we're going to chase two of the most popular and easiest catch, which are Brim and Flathead, your bread and butter species. And the great thing is, they're accessible right up and down the coast and you can catch them even from the shore. But what we're going to do is show you a few tips and techniques to help you catch a few fish and make it really basic. That's the important part. So you can nick down straight after school, catch a few fish. The great thing about fishing in New South Wales is the multitude of species you can catch. You've got Brim and Flathead, which are really easy in here. You've got salmon, you've got kingfish, you can even catch squid.
There's everything.
There's an amazing variety of fish there. In fact, even in Sydney Harbour, there are more than 600 species alone, which, to put in that context, is more than the whole of Northern Europe. But what we're going to show you is a few little tricks that'll help you catch a fish right here and do it off the bank. So you don't need a boat, you don't need to spend a lot of money, but there's a couple of tips that I reckon will help you catch a few fish.
From me, not him.
When it comes to tackle, this is the part that confuses everyone because you've got so many different styles of hooks, sinkers, so many different rods and reels, isn't there?
There's so many different,
it's confusing, isn't it? But what we're going to do is make it simple for you. So we've got here, Coops.
We've got a simple 1,000 size reel and a 2 to 4 kilo rod. Not too expensive, light, put up, makes the fish put up a good fight. So
realistically, you could spend $100 and you're pretty much in the running, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, terminal in. If you're bait fishing, you've got to have your little circle hooks. They're absolutely dynamite. They're better for the fish and they're easy to hook up, and we're going to show you how to use them because there's a little trick to it, but it's better all round. And of course, a mix of sinkers, swivels, hooks. Go into your local tackle shop, speak to the guys. Not only will you find out some of the areas you can do it, like the hot spots, but you'll also get, the right size hook for the right fish, because in different areas you're going to use different hooks, different sinkers, different rigs. That local advice is imperative. Of course, don't forget your leader. In this case, 15 pound is perfect for Brim and Flatties and all those bread and butter species. So when it comes to your rig, let's keep it simple. Thanks, Coops. Let's show it off there. Yeah. So we've got, at the business end, a little size 1 circle hook. Nice and simple. You've got probably a couple of foot of 15 pound leader, a small swivel, and a small bean sinker. And as you can see, the bean sinker is running up and down there, so it's free swimming. For the weird style, it's actually really good and really easy to hook up with a non-offset circle. It's really important that it's non-offset, because if it's non-offset, it'll hook them in the mouth, and that's much better for release, and it's a much better hookup rate. Now, it's time to catch a fish. Oh wait, we've got to bait up. We've got to bait up first, don't we?
We've got to do that, don't we?
One thing that's critical is structure. Now, a lot of people don't realise that you don't just go fishing and cast in. Fish are like Flathead use the sand, they hide in it, they sit on the edges, they're ambush hunters. Brim are sitting around marinas and they like that vertical structure. So when you go fishing, particularly in places like Sydney, Sydney Harbour's a real hard one because there's so many places you're not allowed to fish. So you don't just walk down and fish, you've got to be conscious of other people there, you've got to look at it, you've got to find, the sand flats are really good for the flathead, but you want the ledge, ledge, like right here there's a bit of a drop off. They're really important. Wharves, everyone fishes off the wharf. What do? They cast out as far as they can. The best spot for the brim is right below you. You see all the blokes in the boats, they're casting in towards you. Don't cast out there, cast right below. Weed beds, whiting, everything loves weed beds. So if you can get a pair of Polaroid sunnies and see the water, use it. But there's one more thing, and what's that?
Tides. For the life of me that don't know, but fish love the tides.
They're critical. Yeah. They are critical. So when you go fishing, it's not just dawn and dusk, everyone goes early, which is really important, I suppose, in popular areas, if it's a popular area, go early. But your tide, all the fish in every estuary up and down New South Wales, their whole lives are revolving around the tide. So rising tide, the brim come up on the flats, the whiting are up on the flats, the dropping tide, where are the flatties?
Sitting down there.
Sitting right on those edges. They're sitting there waiting because all the bait's going back to them. So on a run out tide, you're planning, going fishing tomorrow, you look in the morning, you've got to run out tide, so you're going to get flatties on those edges, on the sandbanks, just where it's all dropping down, little gutter, they're sitting there because all the bait is funneled back in through there. At a rising tide, the brim are going to be up on these flats behind us. So it's really important that you utilise and just read the tides. Don't just go fishing, maximise it to work with the tides. And again, go back and see your local tackle shop, because they'll go, oh, the brim are up on the flats of the tide, you know, the whiting are moving around, oh, the flathead have been a bit quiet. These are really important parts to help you catch fish. You know what we need to do, Dex?
Catch one.
We need to bait up and catch a fish. So this is how you put a pilchard on. Nice and simple.
Now, when it comes to rigging baits, you need to apply a bit of finesse just to make it so it sits right. This is how I cut my pilchards. So we get the tail off, stop it so that stops it from spinning, and we're going to cut him straight down the middle here. Cut him straight in half. There we go. And we're going to use the top for a bit of burley. Alright, so we're going to hook him straight through the back there. Get that through. There we go. So it hooks in like nicely like that. Then we're going to pull it through. I'm going to turn it back up here. So now what you do, you're going to pin it through sort of the middle area, pin it up and through, so it sits kind of like that. The next part is looking where to cast. Now we know there's a bit of structure there and there's also a drop off, so it's the perfect spot for fish to sit. Now we're just going to cast straight out to it. So now while we wait for a bite, we've got a bit of leftover bread here. We're just going to use it as a bit of burley to see if we can't entice a few fish up. The burley's worked, we've seen a few fish around. Now it's just time to get a bite. No, there's one there. So all you need to do is circle hook, just lift slightly. Now I've hooked him there. There we go. It's pretty well timed. Now all you have to do, don't need to strike at all with these circle hooks. Just lift the rod and let the fish do the rest. And there is a great Sydney Harbour brim. There we go. And there he is. Simple and easy. Okay, now I want to let him go quickly, so we're going to get the hook out. There we go. Going to land the rod down. Okay, now that I've shown him, let's let the old man catch one.
We've been burling up, started with the brim. Whoop, got a bite. See, told you it wouldn't take that long. And as you can see there, if you just watch, if you can see the tip of the rod, see it just bouncing there? Now, what you do is when you get a fish on, I normally like to drop the rod tip like that and then just lift. Yep, was a bit nervous there for a minute. It's not a brim. And the important thing is when you fight fish, is you just want to bring them in nice and steady and keep that rod loaded the same the whole way through. What do you reckon? I'm going for a flatty at the rate we're going here, Coops. It's definitely acting like a flathead. It's a little flatty. Now flathead are a great eating fish, but they've also got a couple of spines on them, so you just need to be really careful. A little bit tight. Whoop, no, he's not that tight. Oh, he's going to sit. You can see that circle hook perfectly pinned there in the corner. And with this fish here, he's absolutely sitting. He's just about to go again. They never sit like that. He's sitting there perfectly. And you've got to be careful too. If you pan around, we've got a little mate here who's, we're going to let this guy go obviously, but with this little mate there, he might not be so good. Well, how good is that? We picked a spot right in the middle of Sydney.
And we caught fish.
I caught fish. I caught a fish.
With the help of me.
Yeah, I'm impressed. If I can catch fish, that shows how easy it is. So remember, select the spot, you know, pick the structure, remember the tides?
Yeah.
And just take the family and go fishing. It's easy, it's all up and down the coast. We did Sydney Harbour, you can do it anywhere. And you know the best part, I reckon that's really important, apart from you've got to know all the rules and regulations because they're for the fish to make it better, is make sure you clean up, make it better. So always enhance it. So if you go down, there's a bit of rubbish there, take it home. And of course, take all your rubbish, so next time you go fishing, it'll even be better.